Expected points, clean sheet odds, and captaincy. This video has got all the information you need to know for Game Week 13. Alright, we're going to start off then by talking about the top players for expected points by position. Starting off with the goalkeepers. Sam Johnston leads the way this game week. His fixture against Luton at home and the fact that Palace are one of the best defences in the league at the moment. They've kept 5 clean sheets already this season. Luton away is obviously a quality fixture for them. He's top, 3.5 expected points. Leno in second place. Neto of Bournemouth in third. Ederson obviously with Liverpool, not necessarily heavily backed to keep a clean sheet there. Areola, Onana, Pope, Sanchez, Jose Sarr and Kaminsky top the list. Looking at the defenders, I mean, he makes the list pretty much every week, but Kieran Trippier is the #1 defender according to Drafthound for expected points. Chelsea at home, bit of a mix as to what you're getting with Chelsea this season, really. I feel like they seem to play to the quality of the opposition, and I'd say Newcastle at St James's Park are really, really strong defensively, so you could well see a clean sheet there, but obviously Kieran Trippier has a really nice attacking upside, which is why he always appears either at the top or near the top of the list for defenders. Saliba and Zinchenko with Brentford away, both expected to keep a clean sheet. Likewise with Mitchell and Anderson. Kufal, he has returned home from international duty with the Czech Republic, but he's not injured. I gather it was a disciplinary issue, so, well, good for owners, I guess. He's not going to play in international football again, so he's going to be fit to play against Burnley. Dalot, Guehi, Zuma and Castagna round off the defenders. No surprise to see Mo Salah top of the midfielder list. I know he's got Man City away, but that is historically a really high-scoring fixture, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him come away with a return from that game. Saka in second place, obviously heavily favoured with Brentford at home being a strong fixture. Likewise with Heung-min Son, although interesting to see how Spurs will do. Obviously, they've had an international break behind them now with, well, quite a few players have gone away, to be honest, so quite how much they would have improved without Maddison, I think, remains to be seen. Bowen in fourth place, followed by Rashford. Adingra with Forest away. Martinelli, Bruno Fernandes, Mitoma and Diaby round off the midfielders. Now, I wondered if you could do me a favour. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure to leave a like rating, subscribe to the channel as well, set the notification bell so you can see when I upload next. If you're really enjoying the video, please consider joining as a channel member. You'll get early access to all of my videos, and when I deadline stream, I'll give you priority when I rate people's teams in Drafthound. You can also, if you want to support the channel in a different way, check out my shop down below. You can buy yourself a golden goal sticker or a mug. All right, back to the video. Forwards then, and Erling Haaland tops the list for forwards like he does pretty much every game week we've ever seen him, to be honest. Liverpool at home, as I said with Salah, you know, it's a historically really high scoring fixture, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both him and Salah come away with some attacking returns. Watkins in second place. I think he's actually a really nice option this week, given that Spurs certainly don't have Van de Ven in defence. I think Van de Ven is really good at defending on the counter-attack, where Watkins is particularly dangerous. A lot of people looking to sell Julian Alvarez. A little bit sceptical as to whether you should do that. Obviously, he is away on international duty in South America, so does he come back fit and firing for Liverpool at home and start, I think is the question, but I don't doubt his ability to get some attacking returns there. Solanke, obviously off the back of a couple of goals against Newcastle in game week 12. Sheffield United away, a really nice fixture for him, so he's fourth. Darwin Núñez in fifth. Obviously, he's likely, I think, to be benched for game week 13. That seems to be what Klopp does when he returns from international duty. Edouard and Katia Awoniyi, Calvert-Lewin and Morris round off the forwards. In fact, I quite like Dominic Calvert-Lewin before I finish. 5.8 million seems to be stringing together a run of games. I think Everton are going to really have that sort of underdog, chasing mindset given that 10-point deduction. Man United at home, you know, Goodison Park, the fans are going to be right behind them. I think he could have a good game there. To be honest, I think he could have a nice little run going forwards. I've spoken about this in my early thoughts video, and to be honest, I don't think my thoughts have massively changed. In terms of the captaincy, we've got Haaland and Salah. They're obviously both playing each other, but as I've said a couple of times now, historically, it's a relatively high-scoring fixture. I know on the face of it, you think, oh, Liverpool, Man City, tough games. Not necessarily for scoring goals, at least. Saka, Son, Bowen and Watkins, they've got reasonable fixtures as well, but I don't think they're quite on the calibre of Haaland and Salah for captaincy this week. So for me, it's between the two. Now, I'm reusing a little bit of content from a previous video, but bear with me here. I think for the captaincy, as I said, there's two outstanding candidates. And whilst they're playing each other, I think you can assess it as each of them having an individual fixture. So yes, obviously they're playing each other. Salah's got Man City away. Haaland's got Liverpool at home. When you look at the defensive stats of both teams, Man City are way better for expected goals conceded, and Man City, of course, are at home. So I'd say of the two players, Haaland is more likely to score. And when you look at the underlying numbers as well, I mean, ultimately, there's not a whole lot between the two of them. But when you consider, obviously, Haaland's slightly more than Salah, but when you consider that Salah will score more points for goals than Haaland will, I think that sort of negates the difference. So for me, the stats, there's not much to show between the two players. So you're going for it, in my opinion, on fixtures. And I think, you know, Man City away at the Etihad is a tougher fixture than Liverpool at home at the Etihad that what Man City have. So for that reason, and the fact that Erling Haaland, I think, plays much better at the Etihad than he does away from home, for me, I think Erling Haaland is the outstanding captain. All right, then, a quick look at the clean sheet odds. There's not a team this week, surprisingly, above 50% to keep a clean sheet. I think in most game weeks of recent times, we've seen likes of Arsenal, Man City, even Man United appearing at above 50% to keep a clean sheet. But that's not the case this week. In fact, my usual rule of teams with lower than 30% clean sheet odds being uncomfortable about starting their players. There's quite a lot of teams under 30% this week. Only Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Man City, West Ham and Bournemouth have above 30% clean sheet odds. The rest, I mean, albeit Brighton, Man United, Newcastle, Wolves have 29, so there's not much in it there. But yeah, like I said, there's quite a few defenders I'd be uncomfortable starting this week. So if there's any way you can play three at the back, I think it's a three at the back week. Next bit, I just wanted to talk about my top transfer targets for the week. I've covered these guys in a couple of previous videos, but I just really want to emphasise how good I think Jarrod Bowen is as an FPL option with the fixtures he's got coming up as well. The Spurs one in 15 you might consider to be tough, but ultimately, without Van der Ven in defence, I think Spurs are going to be not all over the place, but really, really struggle in my opinion, and particularly against teams that counter-attack, and that's exactly what West Ham do. And then looking at the rest of the fixtures, I mean, you could easily see Bowen scoring in all of them. And for me, Jarrod Bowen is just such a safe pick in FPL. You can back him, unless he gets injured, of course. You can never say a player's not going to get injured. But you can back him to start every game, play 90 minutes. And I think of all the midfielders under 8 million at the moment, he's probably the best. Yeah, just against every level of opposition I've seen him play against this season, he seems to get chances. And looking at those underlying numbers, they're a lot less than the actual returns that he's gotten. But I think Jarrod Bowen is one of the few players in the Premier League, along with the likes of Heung-min Son, who, you know, statistically outscore their underlying numbers season on season. So I wouldn't let that worry me. I just let me think, you know, Jarrod Bowen is a really clinical finisher and an absolutely brilliant FPL option. Another brilliant FPL option is Bukayo Saka, and I think he ticks all of the same boxes that Jarrod Bowen does. He's got some really quality fixtures coming up, and he just plays every game for 90 minutes, unless he's injured, which, to be fair, he has had a niggling injury for the last few game weeks, but I do expect him to play in game week 13, and he'll play 90 minutes, in my opinion. He is Arsenal's designated penalty taker, obviously given some away, but I do expect him to take some, so he's got that on Bowen. And in general, I do think Arsenal are a better attacking team, and of course that's reflected in Saka's price, right? He's nearly $1 million more than Bowen is, but I still think at 8.6 million, he is ridiculously underpriced for the amount of returns that he could probably get you this season. And again, you just leave him in for every game against every opposition he can score. He's just a set and forget option. And if you don't have him already, he'd be one of my top targets for this week. I just wanted to give another shout out to another 90-minute nailed penalty free kick taker in Eberiche Eze. I've droned on about these three guys in all of the videos I've made so far, but just because I think they're exceptional options, you just never have to worry about them not playing. I mean, the worst thing in the world right in FPL is just having someone in your team that you're just eager to see whether they start or not. But with these guys, you can just sit back, relax when you set your team for the deadline because you know they're going to play. Palace, at least for the next three, have a really nice run of fixtures. His ownership is nice and low. And I think Elise will be back in the Palace team after the international break as well. And one thing I would say, a little point against Palace, is they don't look all that threatening going forward as a team. Eze is by far and away their strongest attacker. But with Elise back in the team, I think he adds a bit of danger. Certainly oppositions might just be looking to mark Eze because he is, the focal point of Palace. But with Elise in the team, it gives opposition players more to think about and maybe frees up Eze to be even more dangerous. So all of those things put together, and to be honest, Liverpool, Man City, Palace aren't afraid of an upset against a big team, right? So I wouldn't even rule him out scoring in those games. He is just a fantastic option, and it's 6.1 million, an absolute bargain. Right, I promise I'll stop droning on about Jamal Lascelles soon, but I just don't think you can look past a starting Newcastle defender who is 4.1 million. I know Newcastle got some injuries, didn't look all that great against Bournemouth. I do expect them to bounce back in upcoming games. Yes, they've got Chelsea and Man United in their next two, but against, pretty much any opposition at St James's Park, Newcastle can get a result. More importantly for Lascelles, keep a clean sheet. I'd say other players being out, likes of Bruno Guimaraes, etc., that really seems to impact Newcastle's performances, right? But Lascelles coming in for Botman, I didn't really notice any real drop-off in defensive performances for Newcastle, which is complete testament to Lascelles for playing really well. And it does look like Botman's going to be out at least until the new year. So we've got even longer of Jamal Lascelles starting for Newcastle. I just think when the offer of a Newcastle starting defender at 4.1 million is put to you, you got to take it. And that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments what your plans are for Game Week 13. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the Goal and Goal channel. You can find it just there. And I'll catch you in my next video.